basically what I was saying is I do a brief run through of our different applications to begin with, our on-patient application and our EHR, before I go into the actual note building to get you an idea of what you can customize through our note builder. So let's click on patient. Let's go back to the home screen. Let me take you back. Okay, so basically you have the patients on the left-hand side. The staff goes through, finds a patient that just walked in here, patient scheduled for that day, chooses a name, and starts onboarding. It's now safe to hand over to the patient. So if they're a recurring patient, they can go through and see if all of their information is correct. They can just click edit and it'll take them to that section. If they're a new patient, it looks something like this. They're able to take their picture with an iPad too. Again, you do not need an iPad to use any of our applications. It just gives you a bit more functionality. You're able to take photos and videos with it. So they can start entering the demographics. This part of on-patient you can't change. This is something that we give you. It's just to enter their basic demographics. It's sort of set in stone. But there is a part which you can customize, and it's the additional information section. So you can completely make this your own. You can ask your questions. You can ask, are you interested in having your eyes dilated today? When was the last time you came in for a checkup? How many surgeries have you had? Which ones were they? So forth. All of that can be asked here, and you will be able through this session to make it in whatever format you'd like. Single select drop downs, checklists, on and off switches, freehand comments. Oops, let me move this up. Freehand comments here. Okay. This is the medication list. So this is where they can add any notes to their read-only medication list. Okay, so they can say, I'm not on aspirin, I'm interested in this medication, can you please provide me with more information? All in this notepad. And you can pull this information to your final note on the EHR, and that's why I'm going over this. Same thing with allergy list, ongoing medical conditions. Insurance information, they can go in and enter. You can't take this out of the on-patient application. Here is another part that you can customize though. So we give you a default checklist formatted reasons, right? Basically a checklist for all the reasons are coming in. That's what we give you. So you can go in, change this entire format up. You can take some of these out. You can add your own notes in so the patient can just go through. We wanted to make it really similar to what they check off on paper, right? Here they can ask you questions. You can copy these questions to your notes and go to next. So here, let's clear this. You can read the uploaded document for the HIPAA form here. You can upload your own document. This is a default one we give you. They'll sign for it using their finger. Sorry, my mouse does not work as well. And great, so now everything is done, everything is completed. They can see their signature here, and when they click finish onboarding, the iPad locks, they hand it back to the staff, and now the staff can start the entire process all over again. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you can implement this in your waiting room right now. You can get locks for the iPads and so forth if you're concerned about security, but it does help in easing the burden of the staff so that they don't have to re-enter the same information again. It doesn't make sense to have to enter in that information twice when it can be done all at once. All right, so now I want to go over the EHR, the electronic health record. So let's enter in my passcode, and now this is the doctor's welcome screen. It's really similar to on-patient, right? Basically, the only difference is you have access to the patient's chart and not the onboarding tab. So on the left-hand side, again, the list of patients scheduled for that day, the same list, their name, the date, the time, the reason for why they're coming in, and where they'll be. You notice I changed the exam rooms here. You can do that by going to accountant offices and adding exam rooms and renaming them. So let's go ahead and click on a patient's chart. Let's go to Michael's chart, our founder and creator, one of our co-founders. So here we now have access to his visit section, okay? This is where you're going to take all of your notes on that patient. Now, this folder will not be opened unless you access their patient chart by clicking on the patient's name on the left-hand side. For example, Michael, he has been scheduled for an appointment 3 or 4 times today, okay? But if I look for his name through the existing patient database and I want to go through this route to take notes on him, I can't. This folder is blocked off. So our system is basically going to say you need to schedule him for an appointment that day. The only way you're going to access our visit folder is if you click on his name on the left-hand side on your welcome screen. Okay, so if this was an existing patient, for example, you just schedule them in, pick the office they'll be in, the exam room, click done. And now the patient is scheduled successfully. So you have him here on the left-hand side. Now you can click on his name and then go into the patient chart. So just wanted to make that very clear because so many people are like, I can't take notes on my patient. What's happening? That's exactly the reason. Okay, so before we go into the note folder, let's go over the other 2 tabs. Profile, snapshot overview of the patient. You can schedule them for an appointment. You can log phone calls for them. You could look at their problem, medication, allergies. This patient information tab here, you can take any notes you want on the patient. It's just an ongoing stream of your personal notes about the patient that you don't want to attach to the actual clinical note. Really useful. History. This is where all of your completed notes are stored. Every piece of clinical documentation is here. It can be overwhelming, so we allow you to search by title. So if I wanted to find x-rays, if I wanted to find the title of the note specifically, I can. We even allow you to attach tags to any of the uploaded documents to easily find them. A lot of those questions can be answered under our help desk for uploading documents. Go to Help, Knowledge Base, and you'll be able to see a frequently asked questions section that goes in depth about how to upload documents and attach tags and help you filter these documents much better. At the bottom, we have a little camera button, so you can use your iPad too to take photos and videos. Those all go to patient's history. And throughout the entire history section, with the exception of videos, all of these can be used for the free draw feature. So if I wanted to make any notes on here, I can just click on free draw and say I'm sending this as some sort of referral. I accidentally added a little marking here, so let's erase that by clicking the trash can. Great. So if I wanted to send this as a referral, I can choose my color, my line, thickness, and say I want the person to look at the medication and allergies, specifically this medication. And I can write my notes on here. You can get a stylus and start taking more accurate notes. Let's save this as note referral. Save as new, so you don't hurt the original document. And now let's find it. Let's type in the word note. There we go. We have it here. And we can send it as a fax to a colleague. You can put their name, fax number, and write a little thank you message. Great. So that's basically the history section in a nutshell. Okay. So let's go back to the bottom of the screen. This is where we have e-prescribing. All you need is the zip code once you choose the medicine, and you can send the prescription. You can track your refills here. We have a inter-office chat box to improve communication between the provider and staff, and we also have a 24-hour help desk. Great. So let's go back to the visit section, exactly why you guys are here. So in the visit section, we give you your basic H&P workflow, as well as medication and allergies tab that checks interactions for you. We also give you a place to enter in vitals under a physical exam. SOAP, it'll be under objective. I'm just highlighting various places. So as I go through and highlight them, let me just fill in a few parts of the notes to give you a good idea of what a complete note looks like and everything you can do just by checking things off. Okay, let's go to HPI, fill in that section. Let's hop back there. Turn that on. Maybe add a few things here. Okay, so let's choose our color and make some notes about an image that we uploaded to our template. So we can say, okay, under HPI, I'm making this note, we're focusing here, and I'm going to write my notes. Here, I want this image to be embedded in my note. Okay, so now I have an image attached. Let's select one more thing. Let's go to billing, let's go to assessment. We can find our codes here. So let's see, if we wanted to find something like hypertension, okay, let's choose it. Let's go to billing. It'll generate here. We can find a CPT associated with it, or you can search one of your billing profiles here. I'm just rotating it to a clipboard view so you guys get a better view. So say we want to find a billing profile, so that way we don't ever have to go in and find the ICD-9s and CPT codes and stuff. These are just all pre-generated templates for billing, so the doctor can easily just say, all right, this patient is here for a consultation, so these are the ICD-9s and CPT codes associated with it. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to find that profile here. Select it, and now everything will be synced. All the billing is now synced to that screen. And I'll also go over how to make those billing templates too. So let's view the complete note and see what we have as an end result. So we have some things for HPI, physical exam, and our previously generated tables for like assessment plan and so forth. And the reason for why we don't have a social history tab, review of systems, is because we didn't enter in any information. So if you don't put in information into the note, into these sections, nothing will appear. Everything that you do input will appear. Okay? So one thing that I want to go over as well, adding to the note, is on patient. So we didn't do the onboarding process for Michael, but say he went in and clicked a few things off of on patient. This is that same template that you can customize that's available on patient. Check that in. Let's go to reasons for visit. Check this off, right? And then there's this little button here that you can add to your note. So let's view the complete note and see what happens there. So now, let's zoom in a bit. It says patient provided reasons for visit, patient provided the following information, and so forth. That's all from on patient, so you can pull it in to your complete note if you wanted to. Okay, so let's zoom out. One other thing that I want to show you that you can do is use speech to text. Speech to text in this yellow pad here will stay with you throughout every section, throughout the entire visit experience. So let me go ahead and demo speech to text for you. We partner with M-Modal, company introduced to us by Apple. They're amazing. We've had great results with them. We offer free monthly trials. So if you want to get the full month and test it out before you make the actual investment in our Hippocrates plan to use speech-to-text, definitely email me. I'll be happy to set you up. So let's go ahead and demo this. This patient has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So if you have a phrase or something that you want me to say, if you want to test this, you can, but I can tell you right now that I've done a one-on-one with many doctors, and they've dared me to say certain things, if you will. So it's a medical dictation software, so it knows all of those words. It takes a couple of weeks for it to actually learn your voice and get comfortable to it, learn your accent. But in the end, I think you'd actually be very surprised and happy with the results. So if you want that free trial, definitely let me know. So aside from speech-to-text, to make the note-taking process easier, we actually have these macro buttons here. Okay, these generate whatever text you want. You pre-program text in, and it'll generate it for you once you click on it. So if you have discharge instructions for a patient, you can just click that button. Those instructions will pop up. If a nurse signed off after entering vitals in, she or he can create a little sign-off signature here. Let's see. If you refer the patient to WebMD, I mean, you're getting the point. And as I always mention in my overview demos, we have a neurologist that put his entire normal exam in a button. So his workflow looks something like this. He just goes to the Custom tab, made a blank template called Normal Exam, and clicks this button and has his entire normal exam generate. So there's no limit to the amount of text you can put in these buttons, and they can be extremely useful. If you want to customize it more to patient, if he wants to customize this more for the patient, he just goes in and adds comments here or deletes some things. We're just trying to give you all the tools to make you much more effective in your note-taking, so that way you're done with the note in the exam. We don't want you to take your notes home and work on them. We want everything to be done within those 15 minutes, so we're giving you all the tools to do that. Great. So I'm going to teach you all of these things, believe it or not, in the next half hour or so. And the way we're going to learn how to do that is creating a template from scratch. Okay, we're going to create a brand new template. It's going to be really silly. I want you to understand how easy our template builder is now, our brand new template builder. So it'll appear here under the Custom tab. One thing I do want to mention before I go into the template builder is our help desk. If you go to Knowledge Base under Help, we have a template library, and we held a contest a few months ago where providers just submitted some of their templates and they've donated it to our library here. So if you can go in, find your specialty, a template that you like. Say I want to download this template for an eye exam, and I'm like, okay, I like this. I'm going to work off of this. I'm just going to click here, and it's going to download to my template builder and automatically sync with my EHR. So I'll be able to find it here. These are all previously downloaded templates. Okay? So if you can't find it, don't worry. You can create it from scratch, and you can generously donate it to our library afterwards. Okay, so let's go to this template builder. All right. So I'm going to go to Clinical. This is the practice management, by the way. This is my web browser. I'm off the iPad now. This is where you're going to build your note. So once I log in, I'm going to go to Clinical Template Builder. Some of you might not see that. You might be on the old Template Builder view. So you might see Clinical, H&P, SOAP, On Patient, Macros, so forth. So if you just click on any one of those, and then on the right-hand side, click New Form Builder, it'll take you to this beautiful builder right here. I'm so excited about this still. So now you can start customizing your templates. All right, so now you'll see the clinical template builder view as well. Great. So we have a preset tab here. This is where you can go in and customize the different sections we have. We have your H&P, we have SOAP, we have on patient. So for instance, if you wanted to customize on patient, you can do that here. Okay. I'm going to take you back to HPI. I always do a comparison of what the iPad looks like and what the template builder looks like, and you'll see it's remarkably similar. So if you notice, everything looks the same, right? Basically, what you see on your template builder is what you're going to see on the iPad, and I want you to know that. Here, the first thing I can teach you how to do is how do you rearrange these different labels, chronology, onset timing, and so forth. How do you rearrange that? It's really simple. So if I wanted quality to appear at the top, all I would need to do is drag and drop it. Same thing with the comments. Just move it to the top. The difference between this and the old one of the differences is that this doesn't update itself every time I move something. You need to go to save and then it updates, which makes things go faster because once you understand everything, you can just like zoom through, create your template, and click save instead of it having to refresh every single time you move something. Okay? So now I'm going to refresh my template. See if this works because I already, yep, great. So now I refresh my template. So you can see quality moved over, the comments moved over, and so forth, right? Great. So that's the first thing I want to teach you. So you can come to preset and customize any of the default templates we've given you and make it your own. All right, so now we're finally going to build that template. So when you go to custom, to make a new template, you're going to go to default. And now you have your blank canvas. Let me hop into a new patient. If you don't mind waiting just 1 second, I want to have a blank canvas just like this. So let's go to Dan at this time. Great. All right. So now let's come back here. Let's call this our exercise plan. That's what we're making today. And I'm going to uncheck this box. But before I do, let me show you what this box looks like. It actually attaches a SOAP note to your custom note. So let's move the switch button over and I double click it. You'll see it gives you the ability to input a subjective, objective, and assessment and plan. So as you go through it, it generates a SOAP note for you and adds a custom, another custom note to the bottom of it. It's a little bit more advanced, and it's difficult to explain, especially if you don't use this a lot. And most doctors don't necessarily use it, but we wanted to give you the option of doing it. If you have questions about it, please email me, and I'll be happy to go over it with you. If it's something like, this could be something I can use. So you play around with it. If you have any further questions, email me. Okay, so if I don't want a SOAP note attached to this, I'm just going to uncheck it, and I'm going to save it. Okay, great. So now we have an exercise plan and a little button that's snuck in there. I moved it down there. So let's go to Menu, Custom. And I'm not going to find this template here. I doubt it, because I need to refresh my iPad. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go back to the home screen. Please let me know if this view is confusing, if you're used to looking at it horizontally as opposed to vertically. But if it is confusing, let me know. Okay, so let's go back into the patient chart. Let's go to the Custom tab. Should appear at the bottom. Here we go. Great. Okay, so I'm actually going to delete this one here. And I'm going to start off my exercise plan with a single select button. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to call it warm up. Here I'm going to make a label that will generate the warm-up notes for the patient. So I'm going to want to say the patient will have to run X amount of minutes before the actual workout routine. So I'm going to jump to values, and I want to be able to choose one of those values, how many minutes the patient will run. So I'm going to say I want him to run 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Great. So every time I press enter, it made a new line value. Okay, so this is now a drop down. I'm going to come into the generated text box, the most important box ever, because if nothing is entered in here, nothing will appear in the final note. So now I'm going to tell the iPad I want a sentence to appear in the final note, and I want you to input one of these values in it. Okay, you're programming the iPad here. So you're going to say patient will, and now we have these buttons here, so if you wanted to auto-generate the patient name in whoever chart you're in, you just press patient, so it'll auto-generate Dan's name for this example. So patient will run and X amount of minutes, right? So we're going to put a value HTML here because this will tell the iPad, I want you to put either the 10, 20, or 30 right here in this part of the sentence. We'll run 10, 20, or 30 minutes before the workout routine. Okay? And let's go ahead and update it. Let's save it. Great. So now let's go to menu, let's go to the custom tab, click on the exercise plan again, and now we have our single select dropdown. So let's choose 20 minutes for Daniel. I want to show you what that note looks like. Menu, view complete note. Okay, so it's going to appear. If you notice all of these tables here, the assessment plan populates the note. So this is an excessive list for Dan, especially the amount of allergies he has. It's not a normal case. So you want to just show you what the tables look like. But your note will attach below it, preferably a little higher than this, but I just wanted to let you know that. Okay, so now when we go into the exercise plan, you'll see Dan Kivatinos will run 20 minutes for the workout routine. That's exactly what we wanted to appear. And we generated this entire sentence by clicking 20, right? By clicking either 10, 20, or 30. So let's hop back out, go to that plan. Great. So now I want to be able to add some comments to this warm-up. Okay, I'm going to add in a short text field, which is basically like a comments box. And I'm going to call it warm-up comments. I want this to appear in the same paragraph, the same line as the warm-up note that I just put in. And then I'm going to come to generated text, and I'm going to just put in, I just click the value button and put in that HTML. Because basically this is saying, I'm going to input whatever notes I want directly into the iPad. Okay, I'm not going to pre-program any notes like I did in the previous label. So I'm just telling the iPad the value that I'm going to input is going to be directly while on the iPad while I'm taking the actual note. So I'm going to update, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to save. Great. Scroll up. Now I'm going to click back on exercise plan, refresh it. I have my comments box here, so I can say, you can just customize a little bit further. So please have Dan drink water after the run, for example. So now when I go to menu and view my complete note, that comment will attach to whatever, let's zoom in. That comment will now attach to the last note input. Okay, So those are two different tools you have. Let's go over the multi-select. So now I'm going to choose multiple select, and now I'm going to be able to choose more than one value. This is great for like symptoms and things like that. This is where I'm going to use this to make my exercise routine. Okay, so this is a really silly template, right? Like these are very simple examples, but you can make it as a robust note as you want it to be, right? So you can go in and put in paragraphs for the generated text, ton of different values to choose from, etc. So it's completely up to you. All right, so I called it routine. Now I'm going to want this to appear in its own line. Okay, I don't want it to appear in the same like the same sentence line as the past comments and warm-up. I want this to appear directly underneath. So I'm going to choose new line, and I'm going to input my values. So I essentially want the patient to do either lunges, sit-ups, weights, etc. Okay? And now I'm going to come down to generated text, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say patient will then do, and then I'm going to put in value again. And it doesn't matter if I choose 1, 2, or 3 of these values. Commas will generate, commas won't generate. It figures it out. So you don't have to worry about commas. We'll do either lunges, sit-ups, weights, or all of them starting, and this is a good time to auto-generate today's date. I'm going to put period. So starting today's date. I'm going to go to update. So now I have the routine here, and I'm going to go to save. Great. Come back here, look at it. Now we have it, routine. So let's say we want Dan to do everything. We're going to be extra tough on him and go to the complete note. So you can see as I've zoomed in, please have Dan drink water after the run. So in the brand new line, we have Dan will then do lunges, sit-ups, weights starting today's date. Okay? All right. And anytime anyone has questions, please feel free to stop me. Okay. So that's multiple select. Now the next thing I'm going to teach you how to make is a switch. This is the same label that we used for the checklist on patient where they go through, say I'm here because of anxiety and so forth. It's that same type of button. So it's great to input any sort of stock paragraphs you have as far as like educational material, anything about symptoms, so that you can switch it on when it applies to the patient. Here, I'm going to use an example of a nutrition plan, or I can say diet, and I'll just call this, a veg-based diet. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to say patient will be on a plant-based diet to reverse cardiovascular disease, etc. ... And then I can maybe say, list out the actual diet. So all of this spacing and formatting, this is all saving. Okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I can go up here and I'm like, I want this in a new paragraph. I don't want it in the line down under. I want an extra line to separate it. I'm going to choose new paragraph and I'm going to go to update. Great. So now I have this one. So I can, as an example, I can put another one here and I can call this one diet protein. And then I can switch this on when I want, add my notes here, anything that you want to do here, and then put that in its own paragraph, right? So let's go to save. And now let's go to click on the plan again. So now I have these buttons, so they're here for a plant-based, or they should be on a plant-based diet. I'm going to turn that on. And when I look at the complete note, so now it actually separated out a little bit because of the page break. So when you look at this and say like, oh wait, I want this to be on the next line down, then you can adjust spacing on the template builder. Like I said, normally this part of it won't be this long, but in case you have patients with a severe list of allergies and so forth, then you should adjust your templates to know that, like, okay, the first part, the whole page is going to be about the health record. So I need to figure out spacing to make sure everything appears in one page, how I would like it. But right now you can see it just put in whatever paragraph that I generated and formatted the spacing for me, right? Great. So now the next thing I want to show you how to use are fraction fields. So this is essential for like vitals and things like that. So if I wanted to do something like BP before exercise, I can put this in a new line, and I can say, again, it's a similar workflow where, like, as you're going through the template, you're recording the blood pressure, you have to type it in directly onto the iPad. So I'm going to say patient, or Dan has a blood, or what's a better way of saying it? Dan Cutino's BP is at, and then you can put value here, so it's going to put the fraction field input right here is at before exercise. All right, and then we're going to go to update. So let's save this. Now we're going to go to our exercise plan and see we have a fraction field right here, so we can say before exercise it's 140/80, and go to menu, view complete note again. So now in a brand new line it says Dan Cubatino's BP is at 140/80 before exercise. Great. The last thing on the template builder I want to teach you how to do, and this is just for the template builder, is adding the free draw image. I'm going to double click on it again. I'm going to title this random image, and then I'm going to choose the file here. I have a JPEG there. Let's open it. Update field. These are extremely large files. My videos load faster than this. Okay, great. So now we have it uploaded, so let me click on it here. So you can see, like, any web-friendly file automatically, like when I clicked on it, it just popped up in another browser. If it's not supported, it would likely download to the bottom of the screen, so you open it in a different viewfinder. So definitely you can double check and see if it's a good format that way. All right, great. So let's save it. Let's go to the exercise plan again, click on it. We have our image here, and now it's going to download. So then I can position this image however I want. So let's say I want the image to be right there. Great. And then I can use my notes, choose my line thickness, and then, first I have to click draw, and then I can write my notes directly on here, make whatever notes I want, embed in it, embed into the note. So now I have it here. So now when I go to view my complete note, that image attaches. So now we have that image with all of our notes on it, and we're good to go. So when I clicked on these buttons, you notice that we had, oh, not this one, but any of the other ones, a billing profile tab. So those billing profiles that I was showing on the iPad, you can choose them here and attach it. So if I wanted to attach a nutritional supplement here, you can just click update, and now whatever codes I've attached to it will generate in the final billing. So like, what did I attach that to? Let's say I attached it to warm up, and now I clicked update. So whenever I go in and input information for warm up, that billing profile will generate in the final billing. So you can customize it per label, and that's all that does. And so the last thing I want to teach you how to make, oh, blank fields, by the way, is just spacing. It's for your own aesthetic reasons. If you want spacing in between throughout your template, you can do that. Just to make it easier for you to read. It doesn't affect actually how your note appears. Okay? So let's go to clinical and macros. This is where you generate these buttons. These little buttons here. You know, the one that generated the normal exam and so forth. All of that is programmed here. Super easy. It's always been very easy. That's why we didn't make it in a new template builder. Click on a blank. Type in the name of your button and the text that you want to appear. Really simple. And go to Save Keyboard. Great. So, yeah, so let's go ahead and view our complete note. Let's title this Wait. Let's sign and close it. All right, it's signed, it's locked. Right, so it says e-signed by my name, today's date and time. And now it's all under history. So I can find the same note here. Right, it's under wait. I can search for it by title. I also can send this as a fax now and make any extra notes I want. I can draw on top of this and send it as a fax as a referral. And I can print it. So you don't have to just print it from here. You can go to clinical notes. And we give you a list of all of your notes here, completed or not completed. You can filter by date. You can filter by patient name. And let's see, let's pull up one for Michael. Okay, and at the top, every time you click underneath or next to the patient's name, you always have that ability to print out a PDF of the note. Okay, great. But if you noticed, some of the HPI copied over that we entered in from Michael earlier. So we do give you a section on the computer to input your notes for the H&P and SOAP. Not for your custom ones, like you can't attach images, you can't attach any custom templates you made from scratch, but we do give you the ability to go in and either erase some of the notes if it's not locked, add notes, things like that, into the H&P and SOAP workflow. Okay, so let's save and close this window. So you just come to clinical notes to print out your complete notes for all of your patients and the appointments. And one last thing that I want to mention is to go to the home page. Click on her. Let's go to the patient chart. If they're coming in for a appointment again, they're a recurring patient and it's the same type of exam, you want to bring over all the notes from the previous exam. At the top right hand corner, there's a copy previous note button, so you can say like, I want to copy over these sections. I'm not sure if I entered anything from Michelle Harris yet. Copy them, Let's see if I did. I don't think I have. I didn't have anything entered for her, so sorry about that. But technically you're able to come in, and if you wanted to copy previous notes, press copy and it'll pull everything from her previous exam here. Okay? All right, so that's essentially everything about note building. Thanks so much for staying on the call, and of course, please don't hesitate to email me. I'm looking forward to all of your emails and questions. Thank you.